All right, let's do a little bit of sound check here. How's it look? Looks like everything's going, everything's moving. So, yeah, X Shunyum. I don't always stream on Saturdays, so I just thought I'd pop on. I have a college class in a couple of hours that it's, I call it a college class, but it's more like a huddle session with my students from different. I run this class where all the students from all of this class, from all the different professors, can come to my one class. So there's a potential of anywhere between 0 and 600 students at this thing. And so I do that in about 2 hours. So I wanted to get a little bit of work done, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna be doing work, I'll hop on stream and show you guys some of it as well. So I can de-identify things enough that I think it's fair. I don't want to show any work stuff, obviously, where I'm actually doing any work. I've got that on a different stream. But I can show you guys some of the cleanup, some of the stuff that we do as, we're engineers, but we have to focus on the security side of things because we don't do anything we do in a vacuum. Everything we do touches other parts of engineering, whether we kind of want to or not. So feel free, if any of you are interested in this kind of stuff and want to do it, make sure you open up like a notepad so you guys can throw down words and technologies and phrases that you hear about so you can read about them or study about them later. Some of you guys know I kind of move fast, so I will stop and answer questions if I can, but I will also kind of, as normal, kind of move. So, one other thing I want to tell you guys, we've got an event this starts at 5 today. So that's, what is that? That's about 8 hours from now. So if anybody wants to come to that event, it's going to be whatever your time zone is, but it's completely free. What do we do at ProLug meetings, Professional Linux Users Group? We meet and greet. We talk about the industry. Nobody has to talk if they don't want to. You can just hang out with us. We talk about any topics or guest speakers who might show up. I have a couple of guest speakers that are kind of planned. I got to talk to them. I don't think anybody's coming today, but I will get them into the rotation for in the future. And I'll always mention the guest speakers because people like to come and hear the guest speakers talk. And you guys hear from me all the time, and it's like, oh, this guy, who's this guy? But all these other people I bring in are experts in their fields and that kind of stuff. So hopefully they'll help you. Remote PC back home, 90 to harden for SSH connections, best SOP. Yeah, Exunium, that's definitely something that you can do with this. You can just do the SSH hardening and get your box pretty well protected. All right, so anyways, that's there. Discord is always there, always free for you guys. Nikhil Shindy over on the YouTube side, how's it going? We are in here and we're looking at STIGs, right? And what I was going to show you was some of these systems that we have. I should be able to pull up. So like I got a MariaDB database that I got all the way to 100%. And at 100%, where's his? It's actually interesting. Oh, we got to go to all. And we can see that all of the things that I did and all of the times that I passed the check and how I passed it by doing whatever check there is, right? And MariaDB comes out of the box pretty good. I want to say out of the box, your MariaDB is going to probably score about 80%. The things that are not going to be turned on that you do have to turn on are all around some of the auditing. There's some auditing stuff that's not on. And you have to make sure that some of the logging is set up correctly. Let's see if there's any I can find that I had to fix. Review the MariaDB software library directory and no other root directories. Yeah, this one, like most of these things were on. I can't, I got to see if there's any, hold on, I'll check if there's any that I actually had to fix. This one. For this one was, I had to do server audit active. I had to turn on the audit. And to do that, you have to actually go into the Etsy my.cnf.conf and turn server audit logging on. So this was turned on. So look, it says turned on and passed 21 July. So I actually passed these quite a while ago. I just haven't set these up, right? So that's like the MariaDB STIGs. And if you say, well, Scott, where do you get the STIGs and where do you get the STIG viewer? Well, you do all that. You go in here and you go to STIGs, right? And there's a free and open source place to go grab these. Now, it is behind a US government thing, so you got to hit like an OK. And then you can come in here and you can download any of these different STIGs you need. So let's say you were looking for MariaDB, right? And when you download these come to whatever style machine you have. If you got a Windows or a Linux or a Mac. You download them, you unpackage them, and then you open them inside of the STIG viewer, which you can also get the STIG viewer. I don't think you can get the viewer here. Yeah, there's a STIG viewer here. And the one that everybody mostly uses is the STIG viewer 2.17 or 2.18. And then Windows or Linux, you know. I don't think there's a Mac one. But you can then open it up. And what you do is you go to your STIG and you put in your MariaDB, right? Secure Technical Implementation Guideline. And then you open a new checklist from that. And the checklist will just be a blank checklist with no scanning done. And then you just go in and do that. Yeah, Exshunyum, that's where you go. You go right here. This is a public site for the US. I imagine other people can get in. If not, I'm sure you could absolutely, if you needed to, just use a proxy. I'm sure, you know, anybody needs that kind of stuff. A proxy or what most people consider like a VPN tunnel, right? Which is just a proxy. Makes you look like you're somewhere else, right? There are all kinds of things in here that you can use and download, and then there's these things that are the XCCDF files, and you use those to run against like the scanner, which I'm going to do in other labs, and I'm going to show you guys how to do. What I'm doing right now, though, so I've got this all hardened. I've got some switches that are also hardened. I've got those hardened to a 92.85, so that's pretty good. And then now I'm working over here, and I'm closing up these last STIGs on one of the boxes that I'm working on. And these STIGs are at about an 88%, but I got to get the last few things hooked up. So I can't show you the work that I'm doing on this stuff, but I can show you my remediation over here, and I think that that's a fair way to do this. Let me see if I can move. I might move this over just a little bit here. Let me see if I can squish this down and still make this. Will this still be readable? Yeah, I think this will still be usable like this. And while we're doing that, I'm going to give you guys something to kind of look at over here, because, you know, people like looking at stuff. So we'll leave Ranger Dog up, and we'll loop through my different monitors over here while I'm kind of working on this. If you guys have questions, let me know. But other than that, I'm going to be kind of working on this stuff, knocking some of this stuff out. So what I need to do is, it looks a lot like what we were doing last night here in my home lab. And last night we ran the system, and I think we finished the score at the end. And our score, oh, look at that. Our score for this box out of the blue with no work done on it was a 29%. That is absolutely abysmal. That's like probably the lowest score I've ever seen. But I've got a session from last night, and this was the box we were hardening in our last session. We'll come back to that and we'll work on that. But we're doing this for now. So I need to go to, I'm going to go to filter here, and I'm going to look for IPv6, because I know that these three that I want to fix are IPv6 ones. So what I need to do is I need to turn them on for the node. So the three that I need here are these values right here. I'm going to need to put them in the hardened, or in the image of this box over here. So I'm going to go up to the server. Let me see if I can find, I got to do an exec, hold on. Control R, exec. Okay, and then I'm going to cd to etc. You guys can't see this, unfortunately. Etc sysctl, but you can see what I'm doing here actually, though. It's etc sysctl.d, sysctl.d, and in that directory I'm going to make a file. So just vi, I don't know, we'll call it like 88, we call it dash ipv6.conf. Yeah, we got a little bit of Rocky going on. And I'm going to add 3 lines to a file. They are going to be the 3 lines right here. This one, net IPv6 all. So you can't see it, but I'm dropping it in on this other machine. And then the next one is going to be all redirects, 0. Boom. Oops. Make sure I do that right. And then this one here, all redirects 0. So we're trying to make sure that we pass this section of whatever scan. So now that I have that file set, I'm going to exit my werewolf container. We were doing the same thing last night. Again, this part of it I can't show you because it's part of a thing that I'm working on. Um, it's going to build that container, and I'm going to reapply that and reboot that node, and then I'm going to verify that these settings are good. And when these settings show up good, I'm going to go ahead and close out these findings, and it's going to move our score up just a little bit here. Our little STIGs score is going to move up from 88 to maybe almost 90 or whatever, and then I'm just going to keep doing that for all the little STIGs that I have to knock off. Yeah, Cuddlingus. I'm using Rocky, but the Red Hat STIGs are very similar to the Rocky STIGs, so they get you pretty close. Yeah, Isobu. Since I'm so close to the end, I'm just doing a few at a time. Yeah, I'm doing. I might do. I'm doing these 3 just to make sure they show up, and then yeah, I'm gonna kind of do, like you said. Okay, so that rebuilt over here on this machine. I like to rebuild the overlay, but you don't really need to do that. And then I'm going to reboot my node, which is my CXLZ node, and then I'm going to watch that boot up from a console. I actually have console access over SSH, which is kind of nice. And Isobu, I'm doing good. We see, I got my workout in this morning. I go to one of my buddies that, well, my same gym that I do all my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at. They have like a grappling Saturday morning, like a calisthenics class. So we were like swinging a hammer, like a big 16-pound sledge, and we were doing like the little Aerodyne bike and doing a whole bunch of stretching and sit-ups and stuff. So it was pretty good. Yeah, so that was good. And then we streamed. I streamed a little bit last night, and then you guys didn't get to see this because I didn't come back on. But M-Pesa came over, and if you guys don't know M-Pesa, he did a really good. Let me show you guys this. I want to link this because I think this is valuable in our conference channel of the Discord, which again, all this stuff's free. When we did our conferences the other day, some of our stuff got recorded to YouTube, and one of the really good ones. Well, they're all good. But one of the really good ones was, look at all this stuff. Sending Grounds came and talked, but M-Pesa did eBPF. So yeah, his was really good, and he's got a recording of it. So if you want to go like mess around with that, and then he came over last night, and him and his wife were they were born in like '93, so they're like a lot younger than me and the wife, and they had never seen So I Married an Axe Murderer, so we made them watch that. That was kind of funny. And he's going to come over and do another one of those talks, either at my house or he's just going to do it remote again, and we'll put that up on the YouTube as well. But this one was really good. All the talks were good. Again, Fisherman talking about AI and stuff, but M-Pesa's really got into the systems level stuff. And then I just found out he's moving to a new organization, so he's not going to be. He was with a company called Shippo, and they had downsizing last week. So now he's got like a 3-week vacation. Then he's going to start over at another company doing more. He's going to be a software engineer. So he's moving away from just a full SRE, but he's going to be a software engineer. And he's definitely capable of doing that. Hey, Morrison, how's it going? We are just kind of working on this isn't my skiff work anymore, but we are doing kind of like my homework. I'm cleaning up a node. You guys can't see the node, what I'm doing on it, but I'm showing you guys over here my cleanup when I'm done, because it's valuable to understand that, like, for anybody that does this type of work, your documentation and how you finish up and hand it over to people is very important. Part of this, let me show you guys this. Part of this, and I was showing this to Pesa last night when he was over, is we've got these sets of devices, and sometimes when you get a set of devices with your tooling, in this case like a Dell Smart Fabric type device, from this is Dell. We got a lot of Dell projects. My company's been doing a lot of Dell stuff on top of our other stuff. And one of the cool things about when you get like the security guide, this is the security guide for implementing this type of, they kept calling it a switch, but it's really like a layer 7 device. Like if you come down here and look, this device is like, hey, I do all this stuff, guys. I'm not some layer 2 or 3 networking. I do all this stuff. And I'm like, oh gosh. But the reason a guide is so good is this. When you're going to fill out the STIGs, you can get here. I'm going back up to the table of contents to show you. You can get the federal, here's how you turn on FIPS, and then This is how you do your STIG compliance. And here's all the pieces of information for each of the STIGs. And then when you're over here, right, that's the secure technical implementation guidelines. Here is one of those devices, and I've gotten it at, I think, like a 92.85% STIG score. And then I have a few that are open that I can probably twiddle around with a little bit. But anything that's Cat 1 has been taken care of. Like I look at my Cat 1s. Oh, all my Cat 1s are not open. The ones that are open are because we can't do them until they're in place. There are, let me show you an example here. Because you say, well, what do you mean you can't do it till it's in place? If I told you, hey, you need to have a network device that prohibits any other networks and ports from connecting, and I say, okay, well, that's cool. What network are we on? And you go, well, we're not there yet. We're still in the factory. That's kind of how we are. If I set all these for whatever network we're going to be on, we could affect access where we're at now. So some of these, it's a timing issue. You have to do it once you get into place. So I'm going to leave it permissive for now. Other ones like this, uniquely identify all connection equipment and use like a radius server. We're going to have a radius server where we're at, but we don't have that radius server here, if that makes sense. When you run those IPv6 commands, are you running those directly on the node or using something else to configure? I'm actually putting them, hold on, I'll show you. Because that's a good point. There's two ways to do systemctl commands. For people here that are, maybe you're wanting to get more into Linux and tune it. Systemctl, there's two things you can do. You can tune things live, but they're not persistent, or you can tune them in files, in this case like in etc sysctl.d, or directly in your etc sysctl.conf, but I wouldn't advise changing that file because it's huge. So you go and you change these files inside of the .d, which is an extension directory. So what I'm doing in this case, since I'm building it out of a container and it's an ephemeral node, I could set it live on the box and just check it. But what I did was actually I'm going to go look at the box here because it's back up. I set it back in the files in the container. And then now that I've got the box booted back up, I'm going to jump into the server. I know this is on a different machine, so you guys can't see it. .sh known. I'm purposely doing this off screen so you guys, because that's work stuff. But you guys can watch Ranger. I'm going to connect. And then I got to do these three commands. So I'm going to do sysctl -sysctl -a grep for net.ipv6. Whoops, oh, that's way too many. .conf.default .accept RA. And this is now set to 0 in my system, so now this is a pass, not a finding. And then I go to this one and I do the same thing. I'm pressing up on my thing and I'm going back to IPv6 conf.all.accept redirects. And this is now, whoops. Accept redirects is now 0, so this is no longer a finding in my environment, so that's good. So I've cleaned that up. And then this last one, which I'm going to come over here, which is the RA. This is also 0 now as well. So I've set these. Boom. Not a finding. So all of those ones under this filter for IPv6 are now fixed. Now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go look at the other ones. I've got some other ones that I've got to clean up as well. But yeah, so you could either set it live by doing it directly against sysctl commands, or you can do it in the files and then that's persistent. Those are the two ways to mess with your tuning. And real quick, just so you guys can see, because I know you're not getting to see it live, but I can show you over here. If I were to SSH to my Rocky 1 box, when I go to do this, because I'm going to harden this in my home lab, I'll do like a sysctl-a, and then let's just say grep for like net.ipv6. And look at all of these parameters. Huge amount of parameters for IPv6. And what I was doing was I was changing these ones down in the files to make sure that they were good. So like cat, etc, sysctl, D. And then in here, these are ones, this is where I would put override. Here's the thing for people. This is something to think about. TCP/IP has been around since like 78. TCP/IP 1978, guys. I know we're way up in the 20s now, but 1970. It's been around a long effing time. These parameters are pretty good for most things. But if you ever need to tune parameters so that things behave certain ways, these are all the parameters that determine how your kernel handles packets coming in, and does it forward things, and does it do all these other things. You can turn things on and off here. Does it deal with what we call like Martian packets? And you can go look at what those are, and all this stuff about the system here. You can tune it right here. It's not all. You might think like, oh, most of that stuff we do through like firewall configurations and stuff. Sure, you can do that stuff with IP tables and stuff, but you can also set how your router or how your system behaves at the kernel level right here. And again, there's two ways to do it: live with just sysctl, and then there's back in the files so that it's persistent, right? And then in a cluster like this, you can do it either like I did down in the actual container, or you can do it in overlays. So the overlays can be put into the system as it boots. So there's a lot of ways to do, like, there's so many ways to do this, right? There's no one, I want to say right way. The right way is where you can check off the STIG and security's giving you a thumbs up and they're happy. So let's see how much that one moved us. That one moved us about, I don't know, 0.5% or so. We were at 88 something. Now we're at 89.03. So let me change the music too. Go to streaming chill. There we go. So I'm showing you guys on my home lab system, but I'm doing this live on a system that I'm working on for work, but I'm doing that off screen. But my screen looks almost exactly the same, just so you guys know. I just wanted you guys to see what I was doing. And I set it in a file. So I went cd etc sysctl.d. Sysctl. I don't know what my hands are doing. And in here, oh, that's a link somewhere? Okay. Oh, look, this is just linking over to sysctl.conf. What I did in this exact example was I made a file in here in this directory. I just touched some file and made it. And then I added these lines so that the values when the system booted up were the way that I expected them to be. That's it. Rail Satellite to push STIGs out. Yeah, Rail Satellite can do it. It can generate Ansible, and then it can just push Ansible to do that as well. Yep, that's a big part. There are a certain amount of STIG things that have to be done in planning. Like you can't, in a running system, you can't change the partitions. Like the partitions on disks that are live, you can't do that. So that kind of planning has to happen first. But a lot of times we have to, what we would do with that is we would build a new system with like a template, and then we would push it out again. What should Mac people do? You could run, so you can have a Mac and then you could run, I guess, like a Linux virtual machine. I know people that do this stuff inside of a virtual machine, because the question is, what should Mac people do? Well, I don't think they have. Where's this at? When we were looking at the STIGs, I don't think they have a STIG viewer for Mac. I'm pretty sure they don't. Look at that Ranger dog. Yeah, I don't think they have. Yeah, I don't think they have a STIG viewer for Mac. So I guess the best answer I can give there is you got to run Linux or Windows, I think. Yeah, you can do something like that for sure. Just run some kind of VMware and then do a desktop thing. So I got a few more of these to do. What's Ranger doing? The wife's downstairs. I see her shadow moving around. Jamf for STIGs, Jamf Pro, nice. I haven't used that, but that sounds interesting. Look, Ranger dog. Okay, let's get this STIG crap out of the way. Okay, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna filter for now IPv4. So I'm gonna say net.ipv4, and I've got some of these that are the same type of thing. So I've got these few open ones, and I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna do the same thing on this one. Let's go back into my system, and I'm going to cd to etc sysctl.d, and I'm going to vi my 99-ipv4.conf, and I'm going to grab each one of these as well. So IPv4 conf filter, so it says reverse path filtering packets with source address should have received on the interface where they were received, must not be used on. Okay, so we're not a router here, so that's fine. I can add that one, and then we're going to check this one. This is logging Martians, which are spoofed packets with bad source routed, right? The source address is not correct. And then must log IPv4 packets with impossible addresses. So we're going to do that same thing. Those are things that come from somewhere where it's impossible. And I've now made that file. I'm going to exit, and I'm going to then rebuild my container in my other window and do the same type of thing again. Fix my screen there. All right. Fastcon, I think they're both easy. Depends on your shops are running. Yep. Yeah, I mean, you just got to go with whatever's there. Is this Nessus scan for SCAP? What is this? I got here late. RD Skog, what I'm doing is, no, I got these scans. We pulled these out with OpenSCAP. So you can pull them out with OpenSCAP and feed them into the viewer against whatever STIG you're using. So in this case, I'm using the STIG for RHEL Enterprise 9, even though we're using Rocky 9.3, but they're pretty similar. So you get pretty okay away with it. And I'm just cleaning up the last few right now, but I'm cleaning them up off screen. So I was showing you guys on a machine in my home lab kind of what I was doing. The idea that I made a file kind of like this, although this is just a link over to the file up one directory. And I put in these values so that it would then be loaded when the system comes up, because I'm using a container image. So we're using a tool called Werewolf. I have Werewolf in my home lab. What that does is it maintains all of the state of your stateless nodes, and then when you boot a node over, it comes up as a brand new clean image every time. And then you maintain, just what you end up doing is maintaining the images. That's kind of a good little thing. I gotta redo this over here on the other window. Hold on. I need to reset that node, and then I'm going to watch him boot. And then once he boots, I'm going to go into him, and I'm going to make sure that these three values are like I expect. And if those three values are like I expect, then I'll close those out, and they will not be a finding anymore, and it'll be good. Hey, Tani, how's it going? I don't normally stream on Saturday mornings, but I hopped on because I just want to get some streaming in before I go deal with my college students. I got a couple hours of huddle sessions with different college student groups, and I kind of help them out with, I got a 191 class, which is like networking fundamentals, and I've got a 212 class, which is like cloud fundamentals. And it's interesting, the 212 class is almost all Azure, and then the 191 is mostly, well, it's AWS. So we kind of teach students both of the things through the different classes. And it's interesting, like when you do like because I've been a college professor for a long time, when you do college teaching, we teach to the topics of the industry, but the topics of the industry aren't really, like, I'm not getting somebody ready for an AWS cert. I'm getting them ready to understand how, I'm more interested in them understanding like how the cloud works. And if they want to go get an AWS Solutions Architect Associate or something, they can, because that's what all the topical stuff is about. But I'm much more concerned with like getting my students ready for like anything that can come out, like I want them to understand the functionality of the cloud and that kind of stuff. Like understand that everything's an API call and how that works. That's more important to me than them understanding exactly how like an AWS console works, because that shit changes every few months, Currently in a senior course for AWS Solutions Architect. Nice. RD, I don't know if you're part of our Discord, but we have a Discord. I've got 5 of the AWS certs, including Solutions Architect Pro. One of our guys, Fisherman, has 7 of the certs, and he is a Solutions Architect Pro with them. And then we have different, that's what he does professionally. So we've got people, doing all this stuff. I don't do a lot of cloud stuff anymore. I got pulled back in the last year, and I'm doing all high performance compute again. So I'm like down. I'm down in like the engine rooms of systems that we're like making go as fast as they can, which is kind of like, that's like throwing me in the briar patch, man. Just fucking, it's like, what am I gonna do? Complain because I love doing Linux all the time? And you guys think I'm kidding, but I literally just have, you know, windows of PuTTY open all the time of like me just doing Linux in different systems and different environments. This is actually much slower than my normal day-to-day work. Learn by doing works too, but it's a different approach. Yeah, Tani, that's fair. Like I tell you guys all the time, I don't think you have to go to college to do this. In fact, I had one Linux class in college, period. I learned almost all my Linux in the wild. But I do believe there's a certain rigor around going to school that rounds you out and helps you to learn how you learn and all these other things. I think there's a bunch of value to it, but I think there's a bunch of value to figuring out how you learn outside of going to college. And I've shown you guys that kind of stuff. I have talks on that. Let me go, I'm going to log back into this node over here. And I'm going to verify each of these different commands over here. So when this node comes up, it might not be up all the way yet. And the commands I'm doing look just like this. And in this case, it's a 0, but I need it to be, I need this to come up on this other system as a 1. So if this were the system that I was stigging right now, my Rocky box, this would have to remain open as a finding, because to fix it, I have to set it to this. So hold on, I gotta get into this node again real quick. Yes, I'm connecting, and now I see that as a 1. So I'm gonna change that to my finding is a 1. And I'm going to be able to say that that is not a finding. And then this next one, we're going to grab this. I want you guys to think, in my home lab, is this still a fail? Yes. But in this other lab that I unfortunately can't show you guys, it is no longer a fail because I fixed it over there, right? So now I can close it out in this environment. And then this last one, let's grab this. I'm going to go check it in my home lab, which I still expect it to be a fail. Boom. And then we're going to set it over here. Do you guys want to see me fix it in the home lab so you can see what I'm talking about for the fix? Would that work for you guys? Let me show you guys. So let me show you guys the exact process I'm doing off stream where you guys can't see it. So this is my Rocky box here. I'm going to exit my Rocky server, and then I'm going to go to, this is the lab. This is the container of that server. So I'm going to hit this, and then in here I'm going to cd to etc sysctl.d, right? And in here I've just got this one file, and I'm gonna vi. In this case, I'm just gonna vi. We'll call it 99. You can do any number between 0, 0, and 99, but we're gonna go 99 dash. We'll call him IPv4, fix.conf, let's just say. And in here, these are the values, right? So I'm going to set this value to 1. Boom. And then I'm going to go set, these ones were already set. Let's just set this one to 1. And then the other ones, they've moved off because I fixed them. But let's go set this one to 0. And then let's go find, I don't know, this guy, redirect, set him to 0. Okay, so now we have explicitly set those in this environment, right? I'm going to exit this, and you're going to see that the cluster has to rebuild that container, right? So let me check this last one in my other lab, though, just so I know that I'm good and I can be done with this part. RP filter 1. Yep, okay, I'm good. I can close that out, and that part of that lab is done, or that part of this is real work, guys. I'm doing real work here. This is not like me faking it. And where did my STIGs get to? I'm up at 89.83, so it jumped me 0.80%, right, of my STIGs. All right, so this is my home lab. My Rocky box you just saw fail in those areas, but now I'm going to go reboot Rocky. And I don't have a cool console here like I do in my home lab, so I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to show you guys the Rocky node reboot right here. So here we'll watch him at the console, right? Console is my ability to, oh, whoops, this is Rocky 2. Let's go to Rocky 1. So now he's going to boot, and he's going to go iPixie. He's going to go grab that brand new built container. And when we go into him now, he should have taken those changes that we put into the raw container, because he's an ephemeral node. He's stateless. Watch. He's coming up right now, and he's going and grabbing through iPixie and booting this image that he pulls down again. I'm missing text. Sorry, guys. I wish I could stick around ahead for programming course. Yeah, well, RD Skog, thanks for coming by. Anybody that makes it for even a little bit, I appreciate you guys just hanging out. We're working a little bit. We're doing stuff that it might seem like I'm moving a little fast, but it's because I'm working right now. I'm not actually, like, I guess, teaching things, but I'm trying to explain what we're doing. I'm doing actual things that I'm actually doing for a customer, and I'm showing you guys in my home lab what I'm not showing you on this. I've got another screen, and I'm not showing you on what I'm actually doing, but I'm showing you guys the exact same process on my home lab here. So you guys get to see my home lab get fixed in the same way that I'm fixing for a customer. Okay, if that makes sense. And it's not a production system yet. We're building it. Yeah. How's it going, everybody? And Amethyst Light, hopefully, I don't know how to say that, but hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Let's watch this boot. We see all the overlays coming down. This is important. If you're ever troubleshooting this overlay thing only shows up for a second, but it shows you all the different pieces. And if I needed to, I could have screenshotted that and, like, looked at it. But okay, we're back to Rocky 1 being up. I'm going to go into this box, brand new Rocky server, and I'm going to CD to, let's just go to etc sysctl.d. Let's more our 99 IPv4 fix. Those are the values that should now be set. If I do sysctl-a, which will just dump everything to the screen, right? And if I grep-i for net ip.ipv4.conf.all.rp filter, I should now, what, sysc, oh, well, it would help if I spelled sysctl right. Sysctl-a grep for that, boom. That's set to 1. We see it there, but I want you guys to see that that's how we verify, right? All dot forwarding. Now that's set to 0, as it should be. And then all, now instead of all its default, dot send, let's just see what there, send redirect 0. So now, because I put this file here, and that file has those values hard set, as my system booted up, the kernel grabbed those parameters for how TCP works. I'm going to show you guys something here, and then I'm going to tell you not to ever go do it. Because again, TCP IP has been around since like the 1970s, like 1978 or something. 78 to like 81-ish, depending on when you want to talk about it being released to the public. You guys do not need to go do what I'm about to show you. But if you want to, if you say, hey, well, where I'm going with that is it's tuned out pretty well for most people. Most of this stuff that we're tuning here is for security reasons, but in big clusters and sometimes for high-speed networking, we do change some of this stuff, and we do get marginal improvements. And I work in spaces where 0.1% is worth it. We will fight to squeeze out 0.1% more speed out of the system. So let me show you this. This is where this is free and open source. This is open. It's not free and open source, but this is free. It's the IBM Redbook for TCP/IP. I'm telling you right now, you do not. Oh, went to Ranger Cam. There's Ranger. They have a Redbook out there, and let's see if they still have it. I'm just using the Googles for it. They have a Redbook. Yep, on TCP/IP. This is like a 900-page book. It's archived now. It's old, right? But it's still there. And man, can you get deep into how TCP/IP works? By the way, if you want to go look some history, if you're like, I'm not going to go do that college stuff and listen to Scott talk about the basics and the standards, they've got a really good. Yeah. I'll link this to you guys here. This is I grabbed it right off the old interwebs, but there it is for you guys over on the Twitch and the YouTube side. So. Yeah, this is excellent, guys. But they talk about this is the basic one. This isn't the one. They've got one called tuning TCP/IP. Hold on. So Redbook. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is, let me see if they've got, this is just the basics still. Yeah, this is a basic book. They've got one, if you can find it out there, called Tuning TCP/IP. And the first thing they tell you is you probably never need to do this. But there's all kinds of things in there for how TCP/IP works. This is a great primer. If you said, "Hey Scott, could you sum up like going and getting like a bachelor's degree in computer networking?" I'd say this is pretty close. This is like all the things that you would touch in your bachelor's. And you say, "Well, where's your authority on that?" Well, I have a bachelor's in network communication management, and I've been teaching it for 16 years. So that's like that's something I know a little bit. Is that a red book from the One and Only Hackers movie? Probably, Doc. I just know IBM's been publishing red books forever. So, I was showing you guys how we cleaned up the home lab to look like this, and then now we've cleaned up this and gotten our STIG scores a little higher. So I need to go look at some of my other things and see if I can get some of these different tools on to bring my stuff up. Let's see. Do I want to set more of these? I can set a whole bunch of these down in AssistCTL as well. So I'm going to not be able to close all those down. Not going to be able to close these. So some of these where we have to change the file system, I'm not going to be able to change this. So I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to look for, in my filter panel, I'm going to look for, sysctl.d, right? And I'm going to hit add. And then I'm only going to look at my open ones. And these are things that I can go fix in there the same type of way that I fixed this one. So in this lab here, I would exit back out of, where did I go here? So I exited back out of Rocky. I would go back into the container here. I'm gonna show you guys. I'll actually build it here, and then I'll just go move it to my other system real quick, because again, I can't show you guys my work system. So there's there. Watch this. Okay, so now I'm down in the container image. I'm actually CH rooted in there, if anybody cares about that. It's just that Werewolf handles all that for me. So cd to etc sysctl ctl.d. And then in here we've got this IP fix. Let's just VI another one. We'll call it 99-remediate.conf, right? That'll be fine, something like that. And in here, I'm going to grab each of these values that I need. So dmessage kernel restrict, boom, drop that in. And then my next one I need is kernel.kernel kexec load disable. And then next one here is kernel core pattern bin false, right? So I'm grabbing these values out because I want them to kernel BPF, right, to be only for this, an elevated privilege. This ptrace scope, whatever this is, and then we go here. Max users namespaces is 0, and then we're tuning the kernel to behave a certain way. BPF JIT, right? Escape : WQ. I'm going to, I want to look at this file real quick because I need this for my other environment, right? And typically, so some of you guys that know me know that I will go over here and I'll just drop this over here so I have it right in a notepad. So then I can now escape : Q, get out of there. When I exit this, it's going to rebuild the container. And then what I want to do in my home lab, this is one of the reasons it's nice to have a lab, I can break this and see if this cluster is going to still work. New note, I have so many notes. I have so many freaking notes. And it's funny, some of them are named. So like I'm at 48, but some of them have been wiped. Like Killer Coda, this is my Killer Coda STIG one. Here's some different STIG notes for customers and stuff. Different work that I've been doing. Here's my Socratic Ansible notes, right? I've put these up in these ones are up in the Discord, but these are like when we were doing all of our Socratic Ansible. Sublime text, nice. I like Notepad++. It's just simple for me to grab stuff out of a terminal. All right, so what do we have to do? We got to do the same process we did before. You don't need to do 3 reboots. I'm just insane. We're going to watch that box boot again, and then we will make sure that that comes up. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to go check my other machine real quick while this one's booting up, and I'm going to go start getting that set. Let's see, sysctl.conf.d, and then I'll vi 99-remediate.conf, and then I'm going to drop all of those in there. Escape : WQ. You guys can't see it on the screen, but it looks just like what I did here. This thing always does a clean and a build, and then we rebooted the machine, so now it's going to pull that new image of the Rocky Linux 9 lab that was just built from that container. That's kind of how this all works. Yeah, I started doing the triple reboot like 20 years ago, and I just never stopped doing it. Systems used to hang on the reboot, and then like I would just send them 3 and it would kick them over. It's probably like having a rabbit's foot in your pocket. It doesn't really help you any, but Doc, I'm sorry I'm missing you over on 95 or over on YouTube. Sorry. I remember the 95 film hackers. The Red Book and the DOJ book. Yeah, actually that's interesting you say that. There are books inside of the DOJ. What do they call those? I think there's a green book and a yellow book, but maybe there's a red book too. Yeah, Doc, don't worry. I'm kind of old too, but yeah. All right, let's get this monster out of the way. Go back to waters for a little bit. There's my system booting. Coming up with all the stuff, should be working. We want to make sure it doesn't crash in any way, right? Should have been 4. Yeah, why not 4? And Coco, away. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Thanks for the Prime sub. I tell you guys, you know, you can use your Prime anywhere, and when you choose to use it here, that keeps me motivated and all that good stuff. My node is back up, so I can SSH back into it. Boom. And then here, I should be able to go and check any of these values now and say, well, if I do a sysctl and look for this BPF JIT, that should now be set to, that should not be set to 2, that should be set to 1, right? Because I set that in my system. So how is that getting overwritten or overrode if let's try this real quick. Let's do a system or sysctl system. Make sure that it rereads things. It sees those here. So then when we go, let's see. Now it sees it. So why, this is the question, why did it not come up correctly when I just rebooted this machine? That's going to bug me. Maybe I have too many set at 99. Maybe I need to set that at like 98 or something, because I did set all of them in here at sysctl.d. I did set them all to 99, and maybe there's a limit, so maybe I could have set that to like, right? Because I don't care. The order does. The order does matter, but it only matters if there's an override. So like if something's not going to touch something else, it doesn't matter, right? But we see that it can set it. So I'm going to set it actually in my other environment. I'm going to move that. I'm going to move my 99 remediate to 98 remediate.conf. And then I'm going to exit in my other environment, just like you saw me do here, where it rebuilt my container. It's because I only did the 3. Yeah, that's funny. Fair enough. I'll take that. I deserve that. So once I get this set, so my main thing was, did my system reboot? Did it come up like it should? Moving it here didn't change anything, right? Like, you got to remember, that's an ephemeral box. So when I kick that Rocky Linux over, it doesn't matter that I did that. It only matters what I do down here, because this is the only thing that's actually set. You can think of this as like, oops, .d. This is the template. So I'm going to move the 99-remediate to 98-remediate. Let's just say remediate.conf. It doesn't really matter the name. Exit. It'll build that container again. We'll go do all the things, right? And then we'll reboot that box again. Because, look, and guys, this may be boring, but this is like, this is security work. This is knocking out individual pieces. And you might say, well, Scott, why don't you go back to like your original Ansible script and just YOLO all of these and send them? The reason I'm doing these in pieces is if any of you guys have ever just stigged a box all the way to 100%, I guarantee you've broken a server before. So I'm going this. Yeah, Xshunya, when I redo this, it updates the image. Yeah. So Rocky handles all that. If I was just CH rooting in there, which I could just CH root in there and do a CH root jail and fix, then I would be doing this other command, which is container build. And I could container build it every time, but this is doing the container build. So watch, I'll do this real quick just so you guys can see. I could be doing this command, which is also a Rocky command. But watch, it'll say, oh, there's nothing to do because it's already updated. See? But if I were just cding to var lib werewolf this would be ch roots, right? And then if I were in here, I could ch root into Rocky Linux 9-lab, and they don't have a bin bash in there. Anyways, probably better that they don't. But I could drop into a ch root. I might have to go. Oh, I have to go down one more. So hold on. cd Rocky. Let's just go in there real quick. I'll show you guys in here. Ch root into root fs. This'll have one. What? All right. Well, anyways, the point is you don't have to do all that because Rocky can do it for you. Yeah. Then if I exit out of here, then I come back. So I was ch rooted in there. There's just an error. Any change I made in that file system right there won't take until I rebuild that container right here. And then I'll say, oh, somebody made a change. Somebody did something in there or whatever. And this would rebuild the Rocky lab. Yeah. Yeah, Cuddlingus, I just see, I mean, I think this stuff is valuable. I think this stuff's good. This isn't my favorite thing that I do in engineering, but it is part of it. And it is, like I tell people all the time, man, I've watched more people get broken trying to go into security thinking, oh, security's the most fun. I tend to think like some of this checklist stuff is kind of slow to me. Plus, when you first get into security and you're doing all the, you're doing a lot of audit and you're doing a lot of like checklist stuff to start, you're not really fixing a lot of stuff early on in your career. In fact, I know engineers that have gone up their whole security engineering career where they're not fixing anything. They're kicking it over to me and they're like, oh, I'm making more work for you, Scott. And I'm like, oh no, don't make me do more Linux. Again, I tell you guys all the time, I can't believe they pay me for this shit. Like, I would be doing this stuff for fun. Like, this is, I mean, I'm only half joking. I literally sit here and just play with my computer. You could, if I move this little green screen, my wife's out there somewhere, she would tell you, yeah, this is all this guy does. I mean, besides when I'm hanging out with her or wrestling or something, this is all I do is play on my computer, right? So anyway, so let's get this. I've built this other machine. I've got to kick this other node over. So I'm going to reset him. You can't see it on the screen, but I'm telling you guys, I'm going to go clean up my host because for some reason my host file on that machine is busted. You guys may have noticed over here, I'm just getting right back in my node each time. I'm just getting right back in. I don't have to reset the keys because Rocky's handling that for me on my system. I might have a newer version of Werewolf than we're running in this other cluster. So yeah, Cuddlingus, it's like throwing me in the briar patch. Do you guys all remember the Brer Rabbit? It's BRER. And then the briar patch. Do you guys all remember that? Oops, wrong one. The Brer Rabbit. If you guys don't remember him, he's like, don't throw me in the briar patch. That's me. You throw me in Linux and like act like it's bad. If you ever need to work out how to mix Linux and BJJ. Yeah, we used to call it Linjitsu, which is kind of funny. How's Ranger doing? Ranger's resting before his day full of resting, before his night full of resting. That lazy guard dog. He likes to put his nose, like, so it's 73 down there, so it's nice and cool. So he likes to put his nose down on the tile because the tile's nice and cool for him. And that's my dog. That's my Ranger dog. Okay, let's get this lab back up. Hold on, the machine should be coming back up. I'll go watch him boot real quick. Yeah, Rangers working about as hard as I am. I'm kind of doing my homework late, in case you guys are wondering. Like, this is something I kind of wanted to send it off. I have a, so the government contacts I'm sending this to, they send me. I don't know if any of you guys have ever gotten like a secure. They can send me like this DoD link, and then I can dump anything I want in there, and then it forwards it off to them, and it's all encrypted, it's all hashed, and everything's good. I'm going to be sending these reports over to them. I had meant to do it on Thursday, but then our system was down because the guys in Hawaii, somebody must have tripped over the power cable in the data cluster or something. I don't know, but one of our customers is out in Hawaii, and man, when you talk to those guys on the phone, it sounds like they're wearing like board shorts and getting ready to go out surfing and stuff. They just do not sound like they care. Yeah, Tani, I appreciate you coming by. It's always good when you're around. So, all right. What else, guys? I've been telling you we've got a Discord. You guys can go hang out with other engineers. We've got a talk later today. Where's that at? Sorry, it's over here. You guys can go into the talk. There's, we're going to do a meet and greet later and just kind of hang out and do whatever. It'll be in your time. So it's about 8 hours from now. Let's see. About 7 hours from now. So if anybody wants to do that, you can do that. Yeah. Bureaucracy, but I'll tell you what, when it's Hawaii, they sound like they're chilling. All right. I'm going to kill this other connection over here. SSH into the node if the node is up all the way. And then I'm going to check each of these individual values and make sure that I have them fixed in the device. So I'm doing the same process off screen that you guys are watching me do right here, where I'm fixing something, rebuilding the container, booting the box, bringing it back up, checking that it's set live, and then calling it good in my homework. This is my homework over here, right? That's life. That's life for us. Oh, this box is taking a while to come back up. CXLZ. Okay. That's taking this time. All right. But for us, we've got this up. I've got the scan done. Last night, if anybody was around, I ran a scan on Rocky 1, and Rocky 1 got to... I've rebooted him, so I lost all... I gotta redo a scan. Oh my god. How much percentage do you need to reach for a STIG? Gets confusing to know it's good. Isobu, there are kind of like standard goals. You get like a yellow, I think you get a yellow at like 80%, and you get a green anything over 90. So a lot of times we try to get over 90%. Yeah, I'll have to rerun that scan. I think that scan took about 30 minutes, so maybe I'll do it on stream later. Anybody that's around on Sundays, so I don't normally stream Saturdays like I am today, but Sundays we do all labs. We will just be doing labs. You can do hands-on stuff with me. I will be doing Killer Coda labs. And I will probably be working on updating the book, because I wanted to get the book out by early August, and I missed that date because I was working so much. So I'm going to try to kind of have a goal to get the book out again in the next few weeks. So if any of you guys don't know, the book's on LeanPub, but anybody that's ever bought a copy of it gets all the updates. So if I update something, it'll push it to everybody that's bought it before. So that's kind of a nice little thing for, as I keep adding labs, it keeps adding them into the book. So there's like more and more content for people, which I think is valuable. I think it's good for people. Okay, hold on. I'm going to get my node backed up here. And then I'm going to go check. I'm going to check each and every one of these values. So this is CTL grep harden. I'll go drop it right here. Harden is 2. Harden is 2 over there. I can close it. Boom. You guys can't see it, but just trust that it's there. Max user namespaces is 0. And is 0, so we're going to set that to 0. Oh, on the other one, did I fix? I might have had to fix it. This one should be set to 2 now, because that's what we found in the system right now. All right, let's check this one, which is a ptrace scope. Let's check it here. Whoops. Boom. There. Now it's set to 1, like we expect. Let me go check on my other system. It's set to 1. We're happy, and we can close that as not a finding because we fixed it in the environment. Next one is the system CTL-A kernel unprivileged BPF is disabled, and that should be set to a 2. And oh, in my case, that is not. Oh, it should be set to 1, so that is correct. Mine's correct. Let's go look over here. That's also 1, and that's correct. So now we can fix that in our findings to 1, and we can come here and say not a finding. All right, next one. Bin false. We expect this to be set correctly here. Yep, bin false. Bin false. And all of these other things are correctly removed to just be this value that we see, which has been false. So we can say that is not a finding. All right, next one. We're going to go get our kernel exec load disabled. Load disabled is 1. It was 0 before. Let's go check it in my actual system. It's now a 1. Boom. And you guys might say, well, wait a minute, Scott, why aren't you changing it here? Because this is my lab machine. I don't care about the lab machine. I'm just doing this to show you guys the work that I'm doing in the real system off screen, right? So I'm doing it on a real system off screen as well. So we'll check our kernel dmessage restrict. That's set to 1, which is proper in my lab, and then that's set to 1 over here, so we can change this to 1 and say that that's not a finding. I think those ones that we just did, we'll remove all filters, and we'll look here. That probably brought us over 91. Yeah, we're at 91.17 or 91.71 now. So we're much higher than we were. We still want to be, I'm still going to keep cleaning this one up because this one needs to be as high as possible. YouTube, you said what time on Sunday? About an hour or 2 earlier than this. So whatever it is your time now, about 2 hours earlier than this. I'll be on. Yeah, I am doing this for fun. Yeah, I do this stuff for fun and they just happen to pay me a whole bunch. So that's kind of nice. Doc says, okay, to maybe help Script Alchemist with the Git notebook. I don't want to Doc, you can help with anything you want, man. I tell you guys all the time, some of you guys are like further along in your careers and you want to just do stuff to help out with the group and with the people, do it. Some of you guys want to, some of you are starting and you're looking to, you know, get some Git commits and do Git polls and just be contributing to projects. You're welcome. Guys like that are welcome. People find errors in my labs all the time, and I'm perfectly okay with people editing and doing pull requests and that kind of stuff. Somebody said, how do you get the right STIG for your task, and how much strict should one be about that checklist? So Xshuyum, what we're trying to do with this checklist is get as high up as we can on this benchmark score. We're trying to get this as close to 100% as we can, but a couple of rules. So to that point, you still need to be functional. That's an important. You can't break functionality. Security, you have to have a reason to not be secure. Like, for example, what if I just said here, what if I just hopped on stream here and I was like, guys, web servers are not secure. You'd be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Literally the whole world runs on web. And I go, yeah, guys, hold on. Nobody should run anything on port 80. You'd be like, but hold on. Is port 80 dangerous to have exposed? Sure. But is it a danger that we understand and we serve web pages out statically or with server-side processing where we understand the risk of having that port 80 open? Yeah. It's the same thing like I tell people, like, if you ever have a friend who runs like a diamond store, you've ever seen like a diamond store, it's dangerous to open a freaking diamond store. People could come in and rob the shit out of you. So you have safeguards in place to make it a little safer for you to do that thing. And it's the same thing in the security world for, you're going to expose any resource to the web, you are opening up an attack vector. But do you understand why you're doing it? Are you doing it as securely as possible? Are you breaking down and doing best practice things? Are you maybe even testing it yourself for vulnerabilities that are well known and protecting against exploits that are well known and those kind of things? Because, you know, yeah, it's dangerous to open a diamond shop. It's dangerous to open a web server to the world. But we understand the risks and then we go and we play in that space, right? So that's what the checklist is about, getting as close as you can to a secure system. So, but you can't do everything, right? If CA ever goes down, port 80 still works, but 443 doesn't. Yeah, Mint, unless somebody is just not worrying about SSL verification, yeah. Because you can bypass 443, like you can just say, I'll use their server, but I don't care about trusting who they are, and then you just bypass the process for somebody connecting. Then they don't have non-repudiation, and they don't have any of the other things that come with 443. All right. Yeah, YouTube. If it's 7 in the evening there, it will be about 5 in the evening tomorrow for you when I'll start. I just hop on and do labs all Sunday morning. That's what we do. We get through as many labs as we can. I haven't done Ansible in a while, so we'll probably just start with basic Ansible and just blow through as far as we can. We typically get like 6 or 7 of the labs done, and then you guys could hopefully have enough started to go, oh, I could just keep blowing through this. You know, I can go knock out a whole bunch more of these. For you guys that have been around before, you'd be like, he's doing Ansible again. Guys, my whole engineering career has just been focused on being good at the basics. I am not some, I couldn't explain to you all the different, concepts around like deep recursion and shit, but I can do like basic things well, and that's served well for big platform engineering type stuff. Here's one other thing that I need to tell you guys. This is very important about this. You see these ones that are not checked yet? Do not ever leave something unchecked. From a security standpoint, that's bad. We don't do that. So I need to go verify that some of these are. I'm going to change this one to open because it is definitely not right. Let's go check some of these. Let's go look at my audit rules on this box. Let's see, audit rules. And do I have... I don't have a login UID. Audit.rules. Audit.rules. And in here, I need to set a login UID immutable. All data must be restarted for this to take effect. So let's copy this. I don't think I have that in here. I don't think I have an audit D daemon on this box. No, I'm just gonna have to do it on my other environment. All right. Let's see what other ones we've got here before I go too far into that one. Allocate storage capacity, store at least 1 week's worth of audit records. This is a pass. This system has enough storage for 1 week worth of audit logs, right? So we can say that's good. I just happen to know that that's good in the environment. 10 minutes after becoming unresponsive. So this one's not checked, but we can check for the client alive intervals. So in this case, we would grep right here, client from etc ssh sshd underscore config. And there is no client alive interval on this system here. So I would need to set this in this lab box here. But again, I'm down in the Rocky system. This is ephemeral. This is not where I would do it. I would go do it in either the container, or I would go do it in the overlays if I was doing overlays. Yeah, the STIG viewers and I was actually showing earlier where the STIG viewer was, so I apologize for that. But it was you just go to STIG. Whoops. STIG document library here, and then you just look for you just look for viewer, and there's the STIG viewer. I'm using version 2.17, I believe. Yeah, some people jump up to 3, but none of the security people I know and none of the government security people I know are on 3. They're still back using 2. So yeah, Q, this is not the most fun thing, but I figure I can at least share it with you guys, and I can show you it in my home lab. And I'm going to grep the same command here against this node that I'm showing off screen. And client alive count max. Nope, I don't have a client alive interval set. So I'm going to go set that on the node. So I'm going to actually go into the same thing. So let's say I was going to set this here. I would exit this out. I would go back into my container, which is here, exec into the container. I would cd to etc ssh. In here, you've got the sshd config, which is inbound connections through the daemon, and this is my outbound connections through the client, right? And I would vi my sshd underscore config, and then I would go to, I'm going to set background equal to dark so you guys can see. And I would come down here and I would do, what is it, client? And my client alive interval, I would uncheck it and I would set this in this case to 600, right? Escape colon WQ. This is in the container, so when I exit it, it's going to rebuild the container and it's going to be good. I'm going to go do that in my other lab environment now as well. So Etsy SSH vi my SSHD underscore config, and then client alive interval I'm going to set to 600. Right. So then when I exit this one, this will now be set as well. So set correctly on system 17 August. Right. So I know now that that's set, not a finding. All right. I'm going to go check this. So Etsy crypto policies backends OpenSSH config. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go back into my log or into my system. VI backends OpenSSH config. Okay, and then I'm looking for in there Mac, and the Mac has to be this line here, right? I'll copy that. I'm going to DD this line in the other file. I'm going to add back in that new Mac line, escape colon WQ, exit, and then I'll be able to say set so that is now set correctly in that file, and then I'll right click and say not a finding, and we're just bumping that score up higher and higher. Now what I have to do over here on this other node, which you can't see, is every time I do that, I'm power resetting the node and going back in and making sure that my connections and everything still work. I test basic functionalities. I actually have a list of things that I go and I check on the node, and then we have another team that works with me. They're kind of like they're like a lot of our software guys, and some of them do networking and stuff too, but they are like the people. They come in and they're going to test in this environment to make sure that all my other stuff's going. Isobu, it's growing on me. It works fine. I'm going to be adding more lab stuff for other people to come in and do stuff with it. Oh, Q, you guys are using 3? Nice. All the government people I work with ask for stuff out of 2. So I'm doing it out of 2 for now. 3 does look pretty clean though. There's a lot of really nice kind of functionality in there. A lot of you guys know I'm pretty vanilla. As long as I can get like the basic stuff to work, I just roll with it, you know. So Werewolf, if you have different philosophies with different people on your team, I can see management of this being kind of annoying, because I might want to do everything down in the container, but you might say, well, what if the container just went to a certain level and then we'll build different overlays for everything? And I'm like, I hate managing overlays. And different people like doing stuff differently. So I think there's not a lot of stuff that I would say is wrong, but it's there. Yeah, Q, I've been using SCC quite a bit. In fact, I used SCC to scan my box yesterday. I did it in this other window here, and I had it all ready, and I was like, oh yeah, we'll go check it today. And then I was like, wait a minute, I've rebooted that. So now all that stuff is gone, so we'll have to rerun the scans. But that's fine, because technically our container is going to be a little higher. Also, it's funny, this scanner, it said we're at 29%, which is by far the worst I've ever seen anything come out of the box. But then that's good, because we'll have more fun. I'll show you guys how to fix this stuff. The XCCDF. Well, no, because it was written to root SCC, and this is an ephemeral box. So when I blow it away, it comes back up. It's an ephemeral stateless box, right? So it comes up empty every time. Let's knock out these last ones real quick. I'll go check that one. Hold on. This one's also correct. But we'll go check it here again when my node comes back up. Give my node a second to come up over there. All right, and then install RNG tools. I need to make sure that RNG tools are on this box. So those will be my last few things to do in my environment, and then actually, well, I'll check those open ones, and then I'll be done with my homework for today. And then here's what we'll do later on today. We're doing that group. I always do the group off stream. Like, people have asked, like, hey, are you going to stream this and this and this? I don't stream it because I find that people are much more candid if you can just hang out and talk with each other. Some people don't want to talk. They don't want people to know who they are online. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, I'm okay with, we just hang out down the Discord. Nobody's recording it. It's just us hanging out, talking shop. And that'll be in, I don't know, from now about 6.5 hours. So if you go into the Discord, it'll be in your time zone. So I don't know where everybody's at, but if you come down here, it'll be there. If some of you guys want to watch some of the older streams, you go like the special guests that have come, you go to conferences and then go look at like the different talks that people did from a couple weekends ago. Those talks are really good. There's some really good kind of stuff that was mentioned in there. Let me get this node back up. Okay, I'm back up in this other node, and I need to check rpm-qa RNG. RNG tools is there. This is installed in server, right? So this is good. I can say that it's there. And then I got to go check this algorithm, which is in that same location as what I was just doing. So cd to etc sysconfig shd. Oops. It's under Etsy crypto. Sorry, that's my bad. And then I need under Mac, they need to have all of those. Yeah, this is correct. These are all included. Boom. All right, one more that hasn't been touched yet or otherwise hasn't been set up. So I'm going to do this in the, yeah, and you guys don't get to see this, unfortunately, but cd to Etsy audit rules.d, audit rules. If I can spell audit rules right. And first rule is delete all, and then the last one is login UID immutable. All right, exit out of that, and then that's the last. This is the last one. This is set correctly in the server, and then like I can just grab the file or whatever. Those are all the values in the file. Login UID immutable, right? Boom. Not a finding. Okay. So if that's all good, a suggestion: can you get someone to do a stats lecture? Exunium, yeah, I could get I don't know if you guys remember Ben Westrich who came. He was what did he come on as? I forget what his name was on there, but man, he went pretty deep, but he didn't go deep into any of the stats stuff. But he can. He's a math teacher and an economics professor, so he could do all that stuff if you wanted. I can get him to come and just talk basic math for you guys if you want. The way I always try to tell engineers, like if you want to get better at math in general and specifically stats, the two things I would do is I would join something like Khan Academy where it's just simply math, right? And they'll teach you math for the sake of math. But if you want to get better at stats for engineering, go do all of your what they call Six Sigma. So Six Sigma certs are free to take, like to study. All the studying of them is free, and you can do Six Sigma stuff on your own. You can work in a little group. You can even recommend like start a little study group in our server. We got a bunch of little study channels, and just find a group time when people can study and then work on stuff. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the stats, the basic stats of doing good engineering. I think a lot of people should know and study, and I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of an intensive on that for people that want to be better at that, because I'm pretty good at the stats that I'm good at. I claim no great mathematical prowess, but I'm pretty good at the stuff that I'm good at, which is the stuff that I use all the time when I'm doing diagrams and showing people stuff, right? Because like this idea, like, we can just be engineers down in the basement, which is what I like doing, but sometimes we got to pop our heads up and explain stuff to other people, and it's easier to do that with good graphics and understanding, yeah, the what we call like data-driven storytelling and stuff. And my brother came and talked about that a lot. We didn't get a copy of his video, so I'm gonna have to get him to come over here and talk about it again on stream one time. But my brother came and did a really good talk on. He was using Power BI to pull like football stats and show how you can scrape data out of pages and stuff, and it was pretty cool little talk. All he does is data analytics for his company, so that's what he does all day. Let's make sure my server comes back up, which I got to go kick it over now. Kick over the server because it's rebuilt. We're gonna clean him out of the keys, and then we'll give him a little bit of time before we come back up, and then we'll be able to say that this one is correctly set. Where did it go? Did it jump me down somewhere with that one? Here he is. But I've already put that he's okay. But I want to make sure that it'll be right on the server, like it'll be there. But I want to also go check that the server comes back up clean and all that kind of stuff. So we'll give that a second here, and then we'll just check these real quick and see if there's any other ones that we can clean up. We're at a 93.31, which is pretty good for a server. We've cleaned up all the last networking pieces, all of the kernel tuning parameters for networking, and we'll just kind of review what these other ones are and see if there's anything I can clean up in the environment. There's a lot of good NIST special publication stuff, so if you're ever doing this and you're like, where the hell did they get this, that this needs to be protected? It comes from these different NIST standards. These are the NIST special publication standards, and 800-53 is one of like the generic ones around system security. There's a whole bunch of them. The ones that mostly I teach out of are like NIST 800-145, which is cloud computing, and NIST 800-57, which is key management. How do you use keys? If you're going to have keys in your environment, which most of us, I prefer keys over passwords, obviously, but you can also use certificates if you don't want to use keys. But all of those things require a certain rigor of protection and then also a certain rigor of rotation. And now you got to think about all that as well. All right. So let's see if my node's back up. It's always the goal is to not break this node. That's why I'm changing things small and kind of aim small, miss small, right? So he's still booting. He's not up yet all the way. This one's already not a finding, but I still just want to hold on to it until we're good. Look, it satisfies all these other things as well. All right. See if my node's up. The nodes, so over here, these are virtual machines, so they boot pretty fast. Over here, I'm actually booting physical boxes, so they can take up to... They're still pretty fast physical boxes, but they're still taking about 3 minutes to come up. So I'm naturally impatient because I'm so used to working with faster nodes. Well, it's funny. They're really fast when you get them up. They just take a while. They're like an old person that has to sit on the edge of their bed like a Buick for 5 minutes and like warm up before they start moving. I know that because that's me. But this node's taken a while to come up, but then it's got a lot of cores and CPUs and all that stuff. And I think these nodes have... we were checking them last night. They have 778 gigs of RAM in them. Well, usable gigs of RAM. And then they've got like 160 something cores. So that's also, there's some stuff of certain cores are missing for certain reasons. They're being used by other things, so they're pinned. And you can't use them in the OS. But that's something for another day. Come on. I hope I didn't break the box, because if you break the box, then you got to go back and roll back whatever changes you made and get it back working again. But for now, I should have this box. He's still coming up. I can go watch him at the console too. I have console access. Oh, there's my OpenSSH. Okay. I jumped into the console just in time to see OpenSSH starting, so that's wonderful. There we are. I'm back on. Let's cat Etsy audit rules. D audit dot. Yep, there we go. Okay. So we're happy on that one. That one's good. All right. So let's go knock out these last ones. Crypto FIPS, text. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Configure crypto FIPS policies. Those are all. Let me go check this over here. Share crypto FIPS policies. Alright, so that's good. I'm gonna close that one. Those are set. We're not gonna worry about the audit stuff. Auth select. I'm gonna worry about auth select for now. Oh, anytime we enable FA policy D, we have problems. If you were to automate those checks, would they be preferred approach CAC, a dynamically typed language? Yeah, run amucker. So most of the fixes, like I'd say like 90% of these fixes I did automate. What happened was, or what happens in high performance compute, and this happens everywhere, but I happen to be in high performance compute. There's some that just can't be checked by a scan, so you got to go check them yourself. Those were the not a finding, or the NAs or the whatever they were earlier, not checked, NC maybe, and I had to get them into a state that was good. Some of these you have to manually go turn them on and then verify that things still come up, because some of these are not safe to like a working system for verifying that they. So what I mean by that is, if you just blanket put all 100% on, you will probably not turn your box on. Well, then where do you go from there? You're screwed. You turn them all on. So what we do in our thing, we got about 90 that are easy to work on. No, I've never run FA policy D. I've always turned it off Q. I know what it does kind of, but I haven't ever used it. No, you're fine, run amucker. I'm just saying that tends to be my process is get close with the things that I know that work, and then kind of work safely through. You guys are kind of watching me safely change the last ones, and then I'm making sure over there that the node's still coming up, or I'm doing the same thing over here in this environment too, right? We did that rebuild over here, and then we got SSH and reboot. We'll do it 4 times for now. The 4th one didn't work. The first 3 worked. Nice. Q, I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. Let's keep looking. Like, it's weird. They want you to have tmux, and then they want you to not have tmux. It's so annoying. Etsy group. Lock. Yeah, so fail lock can lock people, but we'll probably stay away from that for now. I'm gonna save these all. Save all checklists. I think all my checklists are pretty good. I've answered pretty much everything in here. We've gotten this up to a 93.58. I feel pretty okay about that. So we're not going to turn off the permit root login. No, we're going to leave that. If the computer's turned on. Yeah, that's pretty fair for IO. It's definitely a finding if the node is even on. We are We are using home. Home is remotely mounted. So home is remotely mounted. Should not be a finding. So there must be 7. Who has? Oh, home is remotely mounted, so there should not be. I do agree with that, but yeah, I'm just gonna set that not a finding. Because yeah, if we're not using that like that, the home directories that are open are for the kernel. So, or they're not for the kernel, for the cluster, to do things. There are still some xorgs. Let's go look at this. Let's in this environment, I would come here, and I would do a DNF. Actually, we do an RPM-QA grep for xorg, and see if there's any xorgs, which are packages that allow, in this case, for X11. There's none here, but let me go check in this environment. I gotta go check my lab environment. RPM-QA grep-I xorg. I don't have any there. Or X11. Nope. So these have been removed. No xorg packages remain. Alright. I showed those other ones just to show that those aren't there either. Okay. We'll call that good. Alright. So save all checklists. I'm going to exit out of that environment because I didn't make any changes. And then, like, in this case, I had no xorg. But if I did, let's say grep-I for, what was one I added the other day? Something little. Vim. We added Vim the other day. If I wanted to remove all this Vim stuff and not have it in my cluster anymore, then I might do something like this. I do like a DNF, remove Vim, right? And down here in the cluster, it'll say, are you sure you want to remove all this? And I'll say, yes, I want to get rid of it. And then when I exit it, it's going to go and it's going to clean that container and rebuild it. And then now in my Rocky boxes, any of these lab boxes, I won't have Vim anymore. I'm actually going to go put that back because I do want Vim on there because then people can do Vim tutor. And I think that that's a good thing to do if you've never done it. Go learn how to move around in VI and Vim and all that stuff. So one of the cool things about this is you can build these tools just like this, and then they will be pushed out to your whole cluster. Oh, I didn't even think about this, guys. So when Pessa was over yesterday, Michael Pessa came over yesterday. We had dinner, and then him and his wife were hanging out. Made him watch So I Married an Axe Murderer, which was actually, it was funny. They were both born the year after that came out. So we were like, oh my God, me and my wife felt old. That came out in like 92, I think, and they were both born in like 93. And we're like, oh gosh, we're so old. But anyways, we made him watch it. Funny movie. If you've never seen it, So I Married an Axe Murderer, it's a very early Michael Myers, who's the same guy who voiced Shrek and Austin Powers and all that stuff. Hilarious comedian. His stuff in that is really good too. Anyways, they came over. He brought. I had gotten a couple of servers from him about a year and a half ago and added them to my cluster here. But he brought me. He's like, oh, I forgot I had these SSD disks. So I was looking at him, and he's got. I think I got 4 SSD disks that are 480 gigs each. So I'm going to turn them into a little RAID 6 array and put them on this cluster here. So this guy here, his storage has always been kind of woefully small. Like, see how his lab storage is 92% used, and he's only had 512 gigs anyways, and he's only got a little bit left in here. Well, I'm gonna put these other ones, and they're gonna be like fast scratch because they're SSDs, and I'm gonna make a new one here, and then all of these Rocky boxes I'm gonna probably move off of this storage and put them in there, and then all our lab boxes will be on fast back-end SSDs, which will be good. With a RAID 6, which will be even faster, because then, well, RAID 5 or 6 would be just as fast, but 6 will give us a little less storage space, but it'll give us a hot spare, so we don't lose any space in the rebuilding. The point is, though, I was getting a little limited in how many of these boxes I could run based on how much storage I had, but then with all those, I should probably have about another 1.5 terabytes or so when I RAID 6 them, maybe just under 1.5 terabytes, and then I can have multiple of these little Rocky boxes pop up. And then I was working with Salty Catfish yesterday. Some of you guys know him. He's one of our kind of resident coders, and he's going to build into that little bot that he's been putting in Discord. You guys are going to be able to go in, and you're just going to be able to ask for a key, and it's going to kick you over. If you guys have never seen Teammate, let me send this to you. This is an excellent tool. I really like this tool. Tmux says that seashells, that one isn't allowed. Yeah, Daft Duck, I'm just going to leave that one off for now. But check this out. If you guys have never been in here, hold on. It's just going to whisper you back out of the Discord. It'll basically whisper you... Where's that? It'll look a lot like... Well, where the fuck is that? Why can't I find that? It'll send you something that looks like this right here, and then it'll just whisper it directly to you, and then you'll just have access into the lab for however long you want, and then this session will go away when you're done with it. And that's going to be how we do access to labs. So anybody in the Discord will be able to get into labs. You'll get access from the bot. We'll give you the little access, and then you'll drop into a jail like you always do. You always get jailed in my environments. And then that'll have keys to all the different nodes, and then you can just connect to anyone. And when you're done with them, you'll just hit, you'll exit, and we'll just reboot them, and then they'll come up back as a clean node again. So that's kind of my plan on sharing more compute resources with everybody, because I got all these compute resources that are sitting around not doing anything, and I want you guys to be able to build them. Also, if any of you guys have been in our Rocky environment, you know that when we go in there, it's got all these disks, right? It's got these disks, so you can go do some of these labs that I've built where you go and you carve up the disks with either MD-ADM as a software RAID, or you can turn them into LVM and do logical volume management stuff with them, which is pretty valuable. Everybody asks about, like, oh, hey, how much do you know about disks, and how do you know about carving them up and adding them, and this and this and this, and that's something that I think that if you want to be a systems engineer that builds things, I think you need to know how to do that. I think that's a valuable skill that will help you get a job. Etsy shells, yeah. Well, so here's the thing, Daft Duck, about the removing the Tmux. They have like 3 that require you to put Tmux on. So actually, there's a in a Red Hat Linux 9 STIG environment, you have like 3 different ones that require Tmux sessions to be there. So it's like, that one kind of pissed me off that it said remove Tmux. I'm like, wait a minute, just fucking told me to put this thing on here. So that's annoying. I'm gonna leave it like that, because 94 is a pretty high score for any system. So I'm just gonna leave this here, save all checklists, and then I'll go grab these checklists and I'll send them off to our customer here today, and that'll be, we'll call that pretty good for now. But let me make sure that machine came back up. Yep. Okay, that system's good. All right, so I'm clear on all that, and I'm getting right near. I can only go up until the top of the hour, because then I got to run some college classes. But hopefully this stuff's useful to you guys. Like, I know you guys are just kind of watching me do some systems work and then clean up my STIG reports. But this is what we do, guys. We build we in that big hacking scheme, right? Let me pull this up real quick. Hold on. From my talk the other day, right? If you guys recall, in my talk the other day, get this out of the way. My Y engineering talk, right? Does anybody remember me talking about this? This was us talking, and one of the things I said, this, like, hacking is just a subset of like this overall concept of engineering that we do. Oh my God, there's so many things in the way. It's a subset of what we do in engineering. We hack all day. You guys have been watching me just hack away at this stuff and try to figure out and get things to work right. But nobody's going to pay you for that. That stuff's fun, but that's not what like we get paid for. We get paid for the discipline of engineering, and the discipline of engineering has planning before it and documenting at the end of it. Hey, Mr. Extremely, how's it going? We jumped over into a little talk because I only got a few more minutes, but this is from my talk the other day. Did you ever see this param system unified C group hierarchy equals 0? Extremely, I have not seen that. What are you using that for? Is there a reason for that? Enzo Bear, thanks for the prime. You guys can use those anywhere. You chose to use them here, so I always appreciate that. Keeps me motivated. Keeps me. I mean, I tell you guys, I would be doing this stuff anyways. But when people want to hang out and talk shop, I enjoy it. So no more, no more ads for you, which is good. Should force the host machine to use C groups version 1. I've never played with that, Mr. Extremely. No. Host machine to use C groups version 1. Only made my machine. Yeah, Mr. Extremely. I sometimes have to skip. Sometimes on these STIGs, there are things that there's like memory stuff that are called like slabs and slags, and they do things with how the system deals with like kernel memory, but they slow our machine down so much, and this is a supercomputer, that we almost always just get an exception for them. We just can't. Live coding. Do I have opinions on BSD admins? I fear and respect them. I don't live coding, but I will tell you this, right? Like I try to tell you guys, I'm not super like opinionated on like people come in all the time and tell me I run Arch Linux, and I'm like, cool. Like, I mean, look, guys, I've worked with a lot of engineers over time, and I'm going to tell you, like, if your goal is to be the smartest guy in the room, you're probably going to be disappointed. Because I've worked with some really fucking smart engineers. And I've told you guys, like, no joke, I've known 2 engineers that can do calculus in their head. And you say calculus? Yes, you can give them an equation. They will give you the answer right as though you put it on paper in their head. And you might say, I don't believe you. And I say, well, I'm sorry. But I've worked with really, really smart engineers. So I know I'm not going to be the smartest guy in the room. But what I am is I'm the guy who builds stuff. And I'm telling you, in a room full of 100 people, I'm going to be one of the guys who's best at building stuff. I know that. I've worked with thousands of engineers, and I've trained thousands of engineers. That's what I'm good at. So I don't try to be the smartest. So where I'm going with that is like a lot of times people tell me, oh, I do this or I do that. And I'm like, well, that's cool. But if we want to do this as professionals, we've got to do the stuff that the industry's doing. Unless you just shift the whole paradigm because you can make Arch Linux magically be used in the industry, but it's not. Same thing with NixOS. I've got nothing wrong with NixOS. I think it's probably good. We were running it in the lab. It looks cool, but I don't know anybody running it professionally yet. Should it be used? Probably. It's really cool. It's like it's this immutable box that you can't even change it. You can give your users shit and they can run stuff on it, but they can't change it in any way, which is super secure. I mean, that solves most of the problems of almost everything, right? Like even if you can compromise the service, you're still not root. So this is our desire as engineers, right? Or as admins in the system, we only want to give you certain stuff. Well, anyways, where I'm going with that is like the goal of all this is to make you guys build stuff and do it in a way that works for the industry. And where I'm going with that is I don't have any like bad opinions of BSD. I mean, BSD is probably used in a couple of colleges somewhere for research. I don't know of anyone. I mean, Sandia Labs might have a couple of BSD clusters, but for the most part, I mean, I don't even know that. And I've worked with a lot of people. I could probably talk to some people I know and ask about Sandia and BSD, but for the most part, like, what I would tell people, especially if you want to get into the industry, like cast a wide net and do the Linux that the people are doing, which is, Red Hat, SUSE, and Ubuntu. Those are the ones that are approved for like U.S. government clusters. SUSE, like Dr. Seuss. All right. I got to get off of here soon, but this is my talk. This is up on Discord. That's my favorite one. This is on Discord. I don't know if mine got recorded. Mine's up on YouTube though, because I've done it on YouTube, so it's there. But if you guys ever want to see any of those other talks, let me know. Blind box, nothing you really add. Yeah, Q. That's the same. Yeah, I've probably seen BSD come in a couple of times as like a black box, and nothing wrong with it. It's just maybe not something that I would tell people to focus on for their career. I would tell you focus on, Linux in general, whatever Linux you're going to do, but then understand the different, maybe proclivities of the different things you're going to do. Oh, I lost my closed captioning because closed captioning for me is all behind my my different systems here. So, all right, let's go find somebody to raid. And for people that hung out, I appreciate you guys being here. We're gonna be down in Discord later, hanging out and doing system stuff. So you guys are welcome to come hang out over there. YouTube, unfortunately, I can't raid you anywhere, but on the YouTube side, I definitely appreciate you guys coming by. Feel free to join the Discord here. I'll give you guys a Discord link if anybody needs it. There's the Discord link, and over on the YouTube side, there's a Discord link. I think it's also down if anybody's watching the video later. It shows up down there. So let's go find somebody to raid on the Twitch side, and then I will talk to some of you guys later on today. Let's go. What's going on here? Alt F4. Looks like he just started. So maybe we'll go raid over to him. He's doing some open source stuff. I like hanging out there. Daft Duck, thanks for coming by on the YouTube side. We'll go start out a raid and go look at some of you guys want to be more DevOpsy, so we'll go hang out over there with these guys. I appreciate you guys coming. I will talk to most of you down in Discord or later today. Take care.